How do you heal the disc tear? I said the other day I'm going to start answering questions off of the internet, and this came up twice. One was about the tear and one was about the disc, so they were kind of the same, but they both had a similar question about the nutrition and the avoiding the activities that aggravate it. But here's the exact question. How do you heal the disc? Certain nutrients, or is it mainly just staying away from the motions and movements that re-aggravate the pain? And the answer is yes. It's both. Because when you have a tear in the disc or a disc problem, if you do the wrong things, you're going to aggravate it, and the pain will never go away. The FDA has not evaluated these statements. Typical spine looks like this. The head's here, the hips are here. There's 24 vertebrae. Between each vertebrae, there's a disc. The disc allows for motion. The disc is a lot like a jelly donut in the sense that the outside of the disc, there's a thick material. Inside the disc, there's a jelly-like substance. The disc is designed to distribute stresses evenly in all directions. So technically, when you're standing upright, the stress should go right through the middle of the nucleus and then distribute the stresses evenly in all directions on the annulus. But what happens is, through repetitive motion or overloading the disc or poor posture, and typically it's a combination of all three, forces the nucleus out into one direction. And when you force the nucleus out into one direction, it'll start to get inflamed, it'll start to get aggravated, and then ultimately it will start to tear. And that tear is very often what is needed to heal that doesn't heal through simple activities. So the tear over time allows for the nucleus to push out, and you develop a bulging disc, and then you develop a herniated disc, and then it might tear all the way through, and that's called an extrusion. Now, we use different types of nutrition, but one of them is what we call specialized pro-resolving mediators. I'll do this real quick. There's an inflammatory process that takes place when you have an injury. It's called the initiation stage. And when it initiates, what happens, it will very often resolve at a certain point, and the resolution of inflammation will be activated by the SPMs. So the SPMs are designed to eliminate the inflammation. They're not anti-inflammatory like, say, an Advil or ibuprofen or Celebrex. They're resolution of inflammation, completely different. Completely different. But what can happen is when you have this little tear in the disc and it's aggravated with simple activities, if you're overloading the disc or you're moving around too much on that disc, what happens is you add more inflammation to the joint. So you get more inflammation that takes place as a result of the problem. The motion in the abnormal posture and things like that. So you will get the inflammatory process. And what happens is it starts and then it doesn't stop. So you perpetuate the inflammatory process. There's two phases. There's the initiation phase and the resolution phase. Here's the problem. If you're stuck in the initiation phase is destructive. So there is no healing that can take place in the initiation phase. You need resolution. Because when it starts, when the inflammation starts, the initiation phase, if you stay in that phase, what happens is you get tissue breakdown and breakdown of the matrix. It's part of the healing process, but when it doesn't stop, it continues to break down. It'll happen in your spine, but also if you have chronic inflammation in your body, it'll happen in your organs. You're not going to have organ problems as a result of inflammation in your spine, but very often, it's not uncommon, people have chronic inflammation in their whole body. They call it inflammaging. You get inflammation as you get older. But in this phase, you don't get the healing. And when you're moving around on those vertebrae, you don't get the healing. Because what you're doing is you're perpetuating the process. You're getting this perpetuation of the inflammation. as a result of aggravation to the tear, and then the inflammatory process that takes place every time you aggravate it. Every time you move, you aggravate it. That's why the pain doesn't go away. Okay, it's a cycle that takes place. Now, if you can start to resolve the inflammation, you actually change the immune reaction to where it becomes tissue remodeling. So you will get synthesis of the matrix. So you will get collagen building up, okay, to connect the tissues. You will get tissue remodeling. So you go from destructive in the initiation phase. It's part of the process, but when you're stuck there, it's destructive. And then when you activate it with the SPMs, it's constructive. So there's construction going on there. But what are the variables? Okay, why are the tips so important? Tips are important because poor posture will aggravate that disc. Compressive loads, sometimes just a simple walking up and down the stairs is enough to aggravate the disc. Abnormal movement patterns. If you move with your spine and you don't move with your hips, or if you bend in ways that are destructive to the disc, it aggravates the problem and it never ever goes away. So the healing of the disc takes place if you avoid the activities, avoid the loading, avoid the disc motions that aggravate the annulus. Okay, we have 22 tips that we put together. 10 wasn't enough because it's really about how you get in and out of your car, how you get out of chairs, how you get out of bed, all the things that you do throughout the day, what posture is best for you, what exercises or stretches should you do while you're sitting in the chair all day long. Is there stretches you can do standing up? How do you bend over the sink? So it's all your activities that you do throughout the day. There are 22 tips. Okay, we're going to have a link for the 22 tips. Typically the link is right there, but you can access the 22 tips. And we encourage everybody, pro-resolving mediators. It helps the process. You get the resolution. You get the resolution. So phase one of healing the disc. Decrease the activities that aggravate it. Find postures that are better for you. Find better movements for you so you don't continue to aggravate it. Take the SPMs. As you start feeling better, what you need to do is you need to start to create stability. So the muscles do what they need to do to support the spine. So you create stability, and then what you do is you start to restore motion to the hips. Tight hips, bad back. Have to restore motion to the hips. And then we add functional strength. Push, pull, carry. Okay? All the things that you do throughout the day that might aggravate it, we give you the strength so you can do that without aggravating it. This is the 10X program. I've talked about the 10X program. This is what you need to do. It's not just about decreasing the inflammation. It's not just about avoiding the activities. What it is eventually is creating the stability and the strength and the proper movement patterns so the pain doesn't come back. You can have a severely herniated disc and live a normal life without any problems at all, ever. Okay? And then we have 11 super nutrients. So you decrease the pain, you start to feel better, you add stability, you add strength, you add motion, and then what we do is we add the 11 super nutrients. Glucosamine sulfate, chondroitin sulfate, I'm not going to go through all 11, MSM, all designed to heal the disc. It's a process. If you commit to the process, you will get better. Slowly. Herniated discs go away. They don't go away if you do the wrong thing. We have the ability. We can solve these problems. All right. So I have a mission. My mission is to eliminate back pain from the planet. It's possible. Through this program, back pain can be eliminated. But what you need to do is you need to share, you need to subscribe, you need to like, and you need to comment. Share these videos. People need this information. They need to know there's a way out. We have a way out. We can eliminate back pain. Again, if you have a comment, which is really not a comment, it's a question, I will do videos on these questions. It's helpful. Helps me understand where your head's at, meaning what you're thinking, and how I can better explain it. So I do really appreciate questions. That's it. So if you want to come see us, we can help you. 844-577-329. We're expanding across the country. Slowly, but we're getting there. If you can't make it into one of the clinics, get the 10X program for at home. Takes a little longer, but it's effective. So that's it. Have a good day. Be careful. 844-577-7329. Again, it's the motion that makes the pain worse and the inflammatory process. So this is my Sunday live. 2 thumbs up, and I'm gonna go have a barbecue.